Nama. What's that? Yes, she has to stuff it up. You know what? I try to keep the kitchen door closed, but sometimes they don't listen. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. All right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunnabi Hahute Jai Radha Madhava Kunnabi Hahute Gopijana Balaba Hirivaro Dhakute Gopijana Balaba Hirivaro Dhakute Yasodananda Baljajananda Guna Yasodananda Baljajananda Jana Jamuna Tira Panachade Yamuna Tera Panachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunnabikahute Jai Radha Madhava Kunnabikahute Gopi Nana Balaba Girivardhante Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhante Yasodanandana Brajajanarandaguna Yasodanandana Brajajanarandana Jambuna Tira Panachade Yamuna Tira Panachade Jayaranhu Madhava Kunnabikahute Jayarana Madhava Kunnabikahute Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravitakacharya Osatera Sachishi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuradam Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamaya Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Budle Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Chinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatcha Teja Tarani. So, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 48th chapter, text 20. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yata hi bhuteshu charachareshu mahi adviho yonishu vante nana evam bhavan kevala atma yonishu atma tantro bahuda vivati yatahi bhuteshu charachareshu mayaddayo yonishu mantinana evam bhavan kevala atma yonishu atmatma tantro bahuda vivati yatahi bhuteshu charachareshu mayaddayo yonishu bantinana evam bhavan kevala atma yonishu atmatma tantro bahuda vivati yatahi bhuteshu charachareshu mayadyo yonishu mantinana evam bhavan kevala atma yonishu atmatma tantro bahuda vivati. Okay. Shu. Okay. Okay. Yata, as. He, indeed. Bhuteshu, among manifested beings. Chara, mobile. Achareshu, and immobile. Mahi adayaha, earth, and so on. The primary elements of creation. Yonishu, in species. Bhante, manifest. Nana, variously. Evam, so. Bhavan, you. Kevala, one alone. Atma, yourself. Yonishu, in those whose source. Atma, the Supreme Soul. Atma Tantra, self-reliant. Bahuda, manifold. Vibhati, appear. Translation, just as the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all the species of mobile and immobile life, so you, the one independent Supreme Soul, appear to be manifold among the variegated objects of your creation. So, repeat, just as the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all the species of mobile and immobile life, so you, the one independent Supreme Soul, appear to be manifold among the variegated objects of your creation. So there's no purport by the servants of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So I'll just quickly read the purports of the Charyas. Jiva okay. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, the variety is expanded from one Lord is explained by an example in this verse. Just material bodies are manifest with various forms from the material elements like earth and water, and so you, the one independent Lord, become many as the multitude of visible objects in this universe. And Jiva Goswami comments, you did not undergo transformation like earth. You are pure, Kevala, without transformation. Very important point, because of your Achincha Shakti. Therefore, you are independent. And Sanatana Goswami, though you are one, you appear to be variegated. Though you are within, you are also external. An example is given to clarify this exactly. Yata, Mahatattva, etc., existing outside as the cause, is also within all beings. You, though the one cause, the giver of consciousness to everything, and independent, being the externally existing Supreme Lord, appear as many in all beings as the Antaryami. That means the super soul in the heart. They become active by you as the Antaryami. How can there be any fault? All are delivered and made prosperous. So again, the verse. Whoops. Back to the verse again. Yatahi bhuteshu charachateshu madhyadyo yonishu banti nana evam bhavan kevala atma yonishu atmatma tantro bahuda vibhati. So omagana timirandasya gananjana shlagaya chakshur unmiritam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I'm primarily going to be speaking about this one phrase here in the purport where it says, you, the Supreme Soul, and listen to this operative word, appear to be manifold. Okay? That's the operative word of this today's class. So anyway, this is actually a very important point about the Supreme Personality of Godhead's ontological position. That means who he is in relationship to the creation. And I'm going to be quoting from Prabhupada and also from some of the Upanishads to bring forth the point I wanted to bring forth. So this is from Srila Prabhupada's commentary in the 87th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, and verse 14. And Prabhupada says, the Brihad Aranayaka Upanishad, because this is really important. The Upanishads are actually really specific insofar as the Lord's, whether the Lord is one or the Lord becomes many, or whether the material creation is one or the material creation becomes many. And it really has a lot to do with Shankaracharya's philosophy and what's called, of course, Shankaracharya's philosophy is Vivarta Vada, which means the illusion philosophy. And Shankaracharya's statements about what's called Parinam Vada and our understanding of Parinam Vada. Parinam Vada refers to transformation. Just to tell you what I'm talking about is that Parinam Vada, many of those who, not followers of Shankaracharya, but many of those who don't believe in God or don't have the proper understanding of the nature of God, they think that the absolute truth of Brahman becomes transformed to become many. That's called Parinam Vada. Whereas our philosophy is also Parinam Vada, which is Shakti Parinam Vada. Because we believe the Lord Shakti becomes many and the Lord remains one. And the Lord, of course, Shankaracharya has another philosophy called Vivarta Vada, which means that Brahman is an illusion. It's not transformed, it's just an illusion. It's a little philosophy there for you. So I'm going to justify my statements by quoting from Prabhupada and from the chapter 87. It's his purport in the 14th verse of the 87th chapter of the 10th canto. This is, and Prabhupada quotes from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 124. Kamata Bahusham, he desired, I will become many. So here's the desire also. Prabhupada points this out in other places, that I was listening to a class where Prabhupada pointed this out. How can something impersonal desire? So Prabhupada makes the point that God is personal. And in a class I was listening to 2 days ago, Prabhupada was talking about Vivekananda. And Prabhupada really laid into him. He said Vivekananda gave this lecture in, it was 1892 or something like that, in Chicago, famous lecture, where he actually, Prabhupada, it was an amazing lecture Prabhupada was giving. Prabhupada said, this fool basically was speaking in front of ministers and priests and everything like that. And this fool actually said, you know, there's no God. Everything's just energy. Anyway, so Prabhupada said Prabhupada quoted many things to justify Prabhupada's point, including the Bhagavatam, the beginning of the Bhagavatam, where it's described about the Supreme Absolute Truth. He's avigya. Avigya, of course, the avigya swarat. This is the phrase used in this particular verse. But avigya means he knows everything. He's all cognizant. So how can something impersonal, how can Brahman, impersonal Brahman, be all cognizant? Let me continue with this phrase, this particular thought about. So the phrase, so kamyata means he desired. So here it implies that the Lord's personality is eternal, because he desired to make money, not money, maybe he desired to make money too, but he desired to, and also he desired variety in his own manifestation, which we're going to talk about in a second too. But that is not a change. That does not imply that the Lord changes or Brahman changes. And then Prabhupada quotes, I'm skipping over some of the commentary, in the Aitareya Upanishad, Saikshata Satejo Srijata. He saw, and his powers sent forth the creation. So here's the personality again. He saw. Impersonal Brahman does not see anything. And Prabhupada said, here the word Tatejasa refers to the Lord's partial expansion of Mahavishnu, which we know, who glances upon Maya and thus manifests the material creation. That's how everything becomes variegated. And then, so here's some additional information. I looked up the different Upanishads to find more quotes about this. This is not from Prabhupada's book. It's from the Chandogya Upanishad, 622, because I really like this verse. This is a discussion between guru and disciple. And the guru is saying to the disciple, maybe I'll skip the Sanskrit, because Sanskrit's a little lengthy. The translation is, handsome boy, the guru was talking to his disciple. How could it be like that, he said. How could the asat give rise to sat? In other words, asat, those things that are temporary, the manifestations, the variety that's temporary, which we experience in this world, how can that give rise to something that's eternal and permanent and fixed? And then he states here, before creation, only Brahman existed, the one cause with no other cause. And there's a purport here. Anyway, I'm not going to read the purport. It's actually quite lengthy. And then getting on to the next verse in the Chandogya Upanishad. Actually, it's pronounced Chandogya Upanishad, not Chandogya. Some people are reluctant to pronounce it Chandogya, because it sounds like a dog, but actually that's how you pronounce it, Chandogya Upanishad. The next verse states, the Sat deliberated. This is interesting, because it's really personal here. The Sat deliberated, may I become many, may I manifest in a remarkable way. He created fire. And so the commentary, which is written, I think it was written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur or Bana Maharaj, one of the two, because this is Bana Maharaj's translation of the Chandogya Upanishad. Tat means Sat, or the Supreme Brahman, the Lord, May I become many in the form of the universe of unlimited variety. It's not that Krishna, in one sense, becomes many, Advaita Tuta Nadi Rananta Rupam, but that's for, not that he becomes many, but he manifests himself in a variety of ways. He's Advaita, he's one, but he has unlimited manifestations of his personality, of the same personality. And I was appreciating that last night. Let me skip ahead on this. When I was reading about Lord Nityananda's enjoying the different pastimes that he and Krishna had executed in different yugas or different times. So Lord Nityananda, when he was young, just to inform you, if those of you who haven't read the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which we're ecstatically reading every evening, Lord Nityananda, when he was young, he would have all these different pastimes. He and his friends would enact the pastimes of Krishna, the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra, pastimes of various incarnations. And in this way, he enjoyed life. So that's the variety in the Lord. But he's still the same person. I mean, just like we have different variety, we're always the same. Well, not always. I try to be the same person. But we are, the soul is one. I don't change my soul. But I have so many different manifestations of my personality. When I go to the GBC meeting, there's one manifestation. What is it called? Yoga Nidra. So, and then, not really. And then when I go to the bank, there's another manifestation. When I talk to disciples, another manifestation, but I'm the same person. So that's the variety in the Supreme Lord, which is unlimited. Ananta Rupam. Anyway. So let me continue reading the purport here. For that purpose, he decided. So this is a wonderful commentary on the Upanishad. The Upanishads. I should produce remarkably in the form of totality made of elements like fire. Then he created fire. Like that. And then also making reference to this verse in the Upanishad, which everyone is famous verse. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashate Purnasha Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate, which is really important insofar as the discussion today, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. All emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfect and complete, and he remains perfect and complete. So he doesn't become divided or transformed. And then in the Vishnu Purana, there's a beautiful statement. Actually, I don't have the citation for this. Let me read the Sanskrit. Ekadesha sita yagner joshna vishtaraniyata parasha brahmani shakti statedam akilam jagat. Just as the illumination of a fire which is spread in one place is spread all over, the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Param Brahman, are spread all over this universe. And then there's a beautiful verse from the Svetasvatara Upanishad, which Prabhupada quoted quite often. It's 6th chapter, text 8, in the Svetasvatara Upanishad. This is actually an important verse. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate natatsamas cha vyadikas cha drishyate. Parasya shaktir vivadai vashuyate swabhavaki jnana bala kriyacha. Prabhupada quoted this verse quite often. The Lord does not have a material body, material senses. There's no one equal to or superior to him. It is said that he has various superior shaktis. He has natural activity through jnana and bala. Okay. And then, then another verse. I have so many verses that verify this. Then another verse where this is from that's actually quoted in the Adi Leela, but it's from the Upanishads. Avachinta Shakti Yukta Sri Bhagavan Ichaya Jagad Rupe Paya Parinama. There's that word, Parinama, again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is opulent in all respects. Therefore, by his inconceivable energies, he has transformed the material cosmic manifestation. That's from the, well, it's actually from the Upanishads, but I don't have the citation, but it's from Adi Leela 7:124, which is really important. And Prabhupada actually quotes that verse. Not a lot, but he does. And then, of course, the Bhagavad Gita, famous verse 4:6. Ajopisana vyatva bhutanam ishropi shram pratim shramadishtaya samavami atmamaya. That although I am unborn, my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So in other words, Krishna never becomes transformed. And then going back to that discussion about Parinam Vada, which I mentioned before, Parinam Vada and Vivarta Vada, which is Shankaracharya's philosophy. I'm going to read from the Madhya-lila 6:120, where it's stated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Vedanta Sutra aims at establishing that the cosmic manifestation has come into being by the transformation of the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's Lord Chaitanya's statement. And then there's a beautiful commentary by Prabhupada in, where is that? Okay, it's chapter 7, text 122, Madhya-lila 7, where Prabhupada talks about this Parinam Vada, but in terms of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur comments that if one does not clearly understand the meaning of Parinam Vada, or transformation of energy, one is sure to misunderstand the truth regarding the material cosmic manifestation and the living entities. So it's a very important point to understand, this Parinam Vada, the Shakti Parinam Vada. Again, I'm repeating, but it's an important point. Shakti means the Lord's energies. Parasha Shakti, Vidaya Shuyate, Sabhavaki Jnana Balakriya, which I quoted before, and also Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Shekshakti Akatata Para Avidyakarma Sanganya Tritira Shakti Ishate, which means that Krishna has basically three Shaktis. There is the material Shakti, the spiritual Shakti, and the Jiva Shakti. And these Shaktis manifest in different ways. Of course, the Jiva Shakti, which is ourselves, Tatapara, is also transcendental, according to the statement of the Upanishads. So, let me continue reading this. Prabhupada said, quoting Bhaktivinoda Thakur, if one doesn't understand this concept of Parinam Vada, one will misunderstand the truth. This is the essential truth regarding the material cosmic manifestations and the living entities. And then Prabhupada quotes from the Chandogya Upanishad again. Prabhupada quotes quite often from the Chandogya Upanishad. 6:8-4. It is said, Sanmula Somya Praja Sad Ayanta Sat Pratishta. The material world and the living entities are separate beings, and they are eternally true, not false. And here's Prabhupada's commentary on Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya, however, unnecessarily fearing that by Parinam Vada, transformation of energy, Brahman would be transformed, vikari, that's another word for transformation, has imagined both the material world and the living entities to be false and to have no individuality. This is an interesting point. So in other words, Shankaracharya did not want to accept that Brahman became transformed, because Brahman means the greatest. It can never be transformed. Instead, he came up with this concocted philosophy that Brahman, everything is Brahman, and actually all variety is false. Does that make sense? So really, to understand Shankaracharya, that's the essence of Shankaracharya's philosophy. Of course, the way we defeat that philosophy is quite easy. If Brahman is one, it never becomes transformed, and variety is all false, what caused the variety? What acted on Brahman to cause the variety, to cause the illusion? You understand? So they can't explain that. So that's the argument against it. And Prabhupada said, by word jugglery, he has tried to prove the individual entities, the living entities, and the material world are illusory, and he has cited the example of a snake and rope from a snake. And Jiva Goswami states, interestingly enough, that Shankara did not understand the Vedanta Sutra. Because anyway, so he gives a little bit of analysis. Jiva Goswami gives a little bit of analysis of this. I'm going quickly through Prabhupada's purport. Sripad Shankaracharya, Jiva Goswami says that Shankaracharya interpreted various Sanskrit words in such a way that he implied, according to Jiva Goswami, that Vyasadeva had very little knowledge of higher logic. So in other words, Shankara is blaspheming Vyasadeva. That's why it's dangerous to read Shankaracharya's commentary, the Saritrakya Bhasha. Anyway, so I have one more verse here to just like verify what I've been talking about before. There's the famous nutshell verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.33. Aham evasam evagre nanyad yat satasat param paschadaham yadeta chad yovishasheta shoshmiyaham. Before the creation I existed, after the creation I existed, and during the creation I exist. And so Krishna is showing his transcendental nature of not becoming transformed. So, in other words, okay. So then, why does Krishna? This is an interesting point. So why does Krishna embrace all this variety in his own activities? Why doesn't he just become one, or, as we mentioned in our evening class, just sit on his throne? I'm not going to mention what I said about his throne, but he just sits on his throne and judge us, just behave himself. Why does he have all these different varieties he manifests? The reason is to taste ras, because that's enjoyment. There's actually statements like that. Enjoyment. Elaborate on that. I am going to elaborate on that point. So the taste of ras, of course, means different tastes. Like we were talking about the other day, how Lord Chaitanya was tasting anger. Of course, reading from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, to the highest extent, when he was destroying everything in his house. He'd go through his house and smash, just to reiterate, he would smash all the items in the house, throw away everything, break the doors. Really, this is extreme anger, and I mentioned to Drishtaprabhu the other day, in the material world, that would be called clinical. And you'd call it social. Drishta would be called, when he was working in social services, just like show up at the guy's door and lock him up in the funny farm after, something like that. But Krishna enjoys things to the utmost degree. Just like dancing with so many other people's wives in the middle of the night. Actually, they didn't. They weren't their wives. That was an illusory. Or having 16,108 wives, or all these different pastimes of, just getting angry with the demons and killing the demons and chopping their heads off, So Krishna's enjoying all the direct rasas and indirect rasas. He's called Rasa Raj. And so, really, that's the essence of devotional service, to enjoy ras, even for ourselves. Now, another point, okay, I want to make this point before we end. Okay, I've got 3 more minutes before we end class, is that if we are actually attentive to our devotional service, we can also enjoy rasa instead of letting our minds wander while we're doing our different activities. And we have to really understand that, yes, devotional service is eternal, but in this world, things change so quickly because it's endlessly variegated. The time factor of Krishna changes everything. We don't know when we're going to get another opportunity to perform devotional service. Or the point Prabhupada made is that we should not waste any time. That's one of the qualities of a pure devotee. Not wasting any time. And yes, so I was thinking about this, that how we become complacent and inattentive in devotional service and how things keep disappearing. Just like last night, I got informed that one of my disciples' mothers passed away. And I mean, I knew her, but what I was reflecting on was that, one day I was with Prabhupada and then he was no longer here in this world and we lost the opportunity. And we don't realize how valuable every moment is that we have the opportunity to perform devotional service. I mean, that's because the material world keeps changing. But Krishna doesn't keep changing. He's always the same. But the things in this world that, the things we're enjoying are different, objects and everything like that, or other people, we lose them. Yeah. And so this time factor is a very heavy thing. So, anyway, so we should want to relish devotional service and take every available opportunity while we have the opportunity, while our body is still functioning, while we have the association of devotees, while we have the association of the spiritual mastery, the association of Prabhupada's books, or our senses work to take up devotional service. So I just want to end with one statement that I found really nice, talking about Ras. And this is a beautiful verse. It's from Pajavali by Srila Rupa Goswami. And I just have time to read the English. Let others study the Vedas, Smriti and Mahabharata, fearing material existence. But I shall worship Nanda Maharaj, in whose courtyard is crawling the Supreme Brahman. Nanda Maharaj is so great that the Param Brahman is crawling in his yard, and therefore I shall worship him. It's an amazing statement, isn't it? That's in Pajavali 126, if you ever want to look it up. Rupa Goswami's compilations of different verses. That's the Pajavali. So that's the point. We should just be interested in tasting ras every available opportunity. Like Krishna, he's simply rasaraj, simply interested in tasting different rasas, and that's the cause of his manifesting different aspects of his personality in different pastimes. Okay.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Akom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Anandani Asa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam
Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham.
Okay. Namahum Vishnupaya Krishna Prastaya Muktalaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samani Kamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Vacha Nagini Visesha Shunyavade Paschachavade Satarine Vani Vacha Nagini Visesha Bhatshacha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Pradhanaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Pradhanaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Adi Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Goloka na Goloka na Rante. Jaya Radha Goloka Nana Goloka Nana Jaya Radha Hey Radhe Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Shri Radhe Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahangsa Parvacharya
Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Varnanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrashita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinada Pisa Nishena Aurora Pisa Hishuna Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadaram Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavadad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishameva Vambudao Kripayata Vapada Pankaja Stita Duli Satyashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashru Daraya Vadanam Gadgadaridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahaneba Vishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bhavashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahaname Ashlishyavapadamritam Panastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatatava Vindatolam Patomat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shastika Ki Jai. And just a quick announcement that tonight we're continuing our reading of the Srila Prabhupada